Welcome back. Hope everybody had a happy new year. Now, you are not her daddy. Okay, there are two relationship dynamics that you don't want to repeat or you don't want to promote in your long-term relationship or in your dating life, okay? One is you don't want her to be your mommy, okay? And number two is you don't want your chick you don't want to be your chick's daddy either. All right, so let's unpack both these things. First of all, the mommy thing, all right, that comes from a lot of what's been social conditioning on men, a lot of what we could call blue-pilled conditioning on men, okay? And the reason this social conditioning works is because it hammers into hindbrain drives and unconscious drivers for men, and it causes men to do things that are unattractive and not necessarily good in their relationships, all right? And so what happens is men are raised by females, okay? Generally speaking, I mean, every boy or child has a mom, okay? Mom is usually the one who is doing the raising, and mom's usually the one who, bandages up your skinned knee and pats you on the head and tells you everything's going to be okay, tells you, you're her good little football player or your good little whatever, and she's the one who lifts you up. That's what moms do. And mom takes care of you. And then if it's not mom, like if you didn't grow up with a mom, there's teachers, there's counselors, there's other female mentors that come into a child's life, a male child's life, and acts in that motherly role, okay? So what ends up happening is dudes grow out of that, they become adults, and then they seek that same mommy dynamic with their partners. They look to the social conditioning tells you as a male to look to your woman for this emotional support, look for her to lift you up and make you feel good about yourself and tell you everything that's going to be all right and be vulnerable and all this stuff. And it's actually a recipe for disaster. It sets the dynamic up and for her to be mommy and for her to, kind of take care of you and tell you what to do and, steer you into, basically she ends up leading the relationship and it ends up being like a mother-son dynamic, all right? And lots of guys have made this mistake and they've done this and they've experienced the pain and suffering that this causes. When you set her up to be mommy, you stop leading as a male. And what ends up happening is it puts her in a place where she is in charge of you, leading you, and she's not sexually attracted to you because she's not going to be sexually attracted to someone who's fulfilling the role of her child. All right? So if you're a man child, okay, and you look to her for direction and, an emotional comfort and all that stuff as a man, you are setting yourself up for failure. She will become the bitchy, controlling wife or girlfriend that doesn't want to have sex with you, okay? And she will, and that relationship falls apart, usually destroys when she finds a real man to trade you up for. And so most guys who have experienced this, they don't want to ever go back to that. Guys that come to my channel, guys that come to other places in the internet and have picked up other books on similar topics, they're trying to avoid the pain of going back to that place where he made a girl her mommy and it blew up in his face. So he starts learning about how to lead in a relationship, starts becoming red-pilled maybe or some of that. And so then what he ends up doing is he learns some leadership skills, right? And he starts leading a little bit in that relationship. And he finds that it makes her vagina wet, all right? That's attractive. And so being a leader and all that stuff is an attractive model, which is good. That's what you need to do. So a guy gets a taste of that, and he goes, wow, this is awesome. This is so much better than when I made the chick my mommy and I looked to her for direction and emotional support. I'm providing the emotional support and I'm leading the relationship, and she's like genuinely attracted to me now versus all the transactional sex I've been having up to this point. She's actually having sex with me because she genuinely desires me and is attracted to me. So for a dude that came from the mommy model, okay, leading is 10 times infinitely better. But then what happens is that fear sets in. All right, because you haven't, this hypothetical dude I'm talking about hasn't killed the beta yet. All right, so he's still got the beta male, that scared child lurking around inside of him going, uh-oh, but you still don't want to get hurt like you did from all those women that didn't give a shit about you, you know? And you don't want to fall in love with this chick and then have her kick you to the curb and stomp your guts out like the last chick you made your mommy. So what are you going to do, right? You got to control it. And so this is where that out of weakness, some guys who are very alpha male in their lives can fall into this trap because they get a little taste of leadership and they turn that into a controlling dynamic now. So instead of recognizing the fact that she's a sovereign human being and has her own choices she can make, you start trying to control her. And now we can replace the word control with all of the placeholder words that you'll use so you don't feel like and sound like a dick, all right, by saying I'm controlling my woman. So we can replace it with I'm coaching her, I'm mentoring her. Even the word leadership, although you do want to lead in a relationship, the word leadership really means for a lot of guys trying to control your woman, okay? And so you get into this controlling thing where you're now dictating behavior, telling what to do, sitting her down, talking about her life goals, writing her workout programs for her. You know, you're doing all this stuff where you put yourself in this, not just a leadership role as in the man leading the relationship through action and behavior, but you put yourself in the position where you're her coach, her mentor, you're her counselor, her daddy. Okay, you put yourself in daddy role is what it is. And so and according to attachment theory, we will repeat relationship dynamics, especially ones that we grew up with. So what happens, a girl looks to daddy at first for all of the, mentorship and love and all that stuff. And so at first it's great. At first she's still banging you, has genuine desire, and she's following your leadership. It seems really good, right? But here's the problem, is female solipsism, okay? People in general, all right, like to deflect and blame shift. People in general. Females are particularly wired to do this. It's their solipsism. If you give them an opening to be solipsistic, they will take it. If you give them an opening to blame shift to you, they will take it. When you take on that leadership role in a sense where you're her daddy, okay, what ends up happening is she can blame shift all of her failures onto you. And if it's anything that is worth pursuing, she is going to fail at it. Okay, those of you who have achieved successes in your life know that success is a product of a bunch of failures. So she will inevitably fail in whatever you're coaching her in. And when she does fail because you're the mentor, coach, dad, okay, it'll be your fault, all right? And so she's going to resent her failures, whether it's being better in the relationship, being more emotionally self-controlled, being, I keep using fitness, but being better, being more physically fit, achieving more in her life goals, her work goals, whatever it is, she's going to blame you. If she doesn't achieve those things, or if she receives those small failures required for success. So instead of taking responsibility for the failures, overcoming them and doing better, she'll blame you for the failures, and she'll resent you, and then she'll pull away and break away from your frame. This almost always happens with the daddy dynamic, okay? Because you've put yourself in the position where you've made her problems your problems, her goals your responsibility. And that is the mistake. That is what changes the dynamic from I'm her strong-ass alpha man to I'm daddy, okay? Is when you start making her problems your problems and her goals your responsibility, all right? It's not your job to help her tailor her goals, her life goals for her. That's her job, okay? It's not your job to take her problems and make them go away and solve them for her. That is her job. Your job and your time is so much better spent being on your own mental point of origin and being a better man. Because you only have so much time so much energy and effort within a given period of time. All right, within a 24 to 48 hour period, there's only so much energy you can put towards things. If you're putting all this energy into her life goals, her problems, and into correcting and steering her behavior, into trying to mold her into what you want, what happens is you're just going to put your energy into something that's going to fail, because she's going to fail at it, and then she's going to blame you anyway. So what you'll have to show 6 months to a year later for all of your efforts is a bunch of her failures and a bunch of blame shifting, all right? And meanwhile, she's just going to look at, she's not going to help but be able to look at the next dude who wasn't trying to control some chick's behavior and who was focusing all that energy and effort into himself and making himself better. Whereas if you worked on yourself and made yourself better for that period of time and let her fucking handle her own problems and let her take responsibility for her own goals, what would happen is you would just be an infinitely better guy, right? And being the infinitely better guy, that's going to cause her to look up to you. Her hypergamous brain is going to point towards you and want to catch up to where you're at. She understands that she has to elevate herself in certain areas of her life in order to be a good match for you. And that should be motivation enough, all right? And that's how you lead. You lead by doing you. Okay? You lead by being on your own mental point of origin. If you want your woman to be, for whatever reason, want her to be more successful in her vocation, then go be successful in your vocation. She's not going to be wanting to stand next to somebody as the person who's not very successful in anything she does next to a guy who's an iconic success. I mean, she might actually, a lot of females might want to do that because we're talking about vocation. But let's talk about something else then. Let's talk about sex appeal. Let's talk about fitness, physical body. Okay, that's something. Attractiveness. That's something that really does fit a little better than vocation, which is, okay, she might, if you're working, if you want her to be physically fit for the rest of your life, you be physically fit for the rest of your life. If you're working on yourself and you're being that good-looking, strong, physically fit guy who's healthy, she's not going to want to stand next to you and be the not physically fit whatever chick. And if she does and doesn't care, then she's probably not the right woman for you, right? That's how you know to eject her from your life. So if you've made it clear the standards, which is my standard is this, and someone who is a good match for me does this, just out of in passing through your actions, through maybe some of your wording of things, she'll know that in order to be a good match for you, she has to do this. And then she is going to tailor her goals to match that. That's how you lead in the relationship. Okay, you be the best version of yourself and don't fucking worry about what she's doing. And she will then start wanting to get validation from you and tailoring what she does to match what you're doing, which is great. Okay, like that's great. That's a good thing. That's a healthy relationship. She pushes you to be better because you want to be better for yourself, but you want to be better so her, partially, so her hypergamous brain looks at you, right? And she wants to be better because she wants to be a good match for you. Like, you elevate each other that way. When you become daddy, though, you're not elevating anybody. What you're doing is you're controlling the relationship, telling her what to do. And then here's what happens, right? You end up being in the chasing role now, because when she doesn't do what you want, okay, then you have to chase her for an explanation, for and a consequence, and whatever, a discussion, a punishment, whatever it may be. You end up having, all she has to do to control your behavior is not do the thing you guys talked about. You see what I mean? When you're being in the controlling daddy role, all she has to do is defy dad, and now dad has to follow her, chase her around to make some consequence happen. You see what I mean? And that takes you off your mental point of origin, and where does that put you? It's not in your own frame, that's for sure. So whose frame are you in if you're chasing her around to get her to solve her own problems or to achieve her own goals? Where's the point of origin now? Where's the frame now? You see, a lot of guys like to think that they're the dominant guy. I'm the dom, and I'm going to tell my woman what to do, and if she doesn't follow it, I'm going to do these consequences because I'm the dominant alpha male, right? And what that dominant alpha male is really doing is trying to run away from fears that she's not going to be what he needs her to be in a relationship, and he's going to fuck her out, she's going to fuck him over. So he's doing this out of fear, need to control another person, which is fear-based, and then he's chasing her to get her to do the right behaviors, to get her to achieve her goals, to get her to solve problems. See what I'm saying? Who's alpha in this scenario? All right? So don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. Now, here's the thing. Like, there's a dynamic in BDSM circles where you have daddy doms, you have dom subs, you have dom slaves, all that stuff. Not a topic for this video, okay? I can get into that topic, know enough about it, but I'm just going to say this about those relationships. So that dynamic can work longer than this covert daddy situation you put yourself in, because two adults are agreeing on the dynamic. So at least they're recognizing the shit show that they're getting involved in, okay? And there's also punishment involved, voluntary punishment, right? Within the confines of the BDSM relationship, you know, the daddy can punish the chick, the dom can punish the sub in a sense, right? In a way that's acceptable within that agreement when she gets rebellious and tries to, you know, run off and do her own shit, you know. And so can that dynamic last a little longer? Sure. But I guess what? You know, subs leave their doms just as frequently as chicks leave their men in vanilla relationships. So that is not a sure thing, that's for sure. Not to mention, that's a lot of work, because what you're doing in that dynamic is you're taking responsibility for all of someone else's shit and all of their behavior. Their success or failure is based on you. It's like managing an adult disabled person who happens to like to be tied up, okay? It's a lot of work, and you don't need to do all that work to have that kind of fun in the bedroom, number one, and number two, to be a leader in your relationship. It's not a requirement. You know what I mean? And it's kind of hard to be on your mental point of origin and achieve excellence if a good portion of your day is filled with, you know, training and taking care of this disabled adult who can't make decisions for themselves, who looks at daddy to do it for them. You know what I mean? So there's more on that, but that's a topic for another video. This will get way too long. But ultimately, think of every daughter and dad relationship. What ends up happening when daughter looks for her independence, right? She's a teenager, okay? And that teenager ends up thinking her dad's a piece of shit. Every teenage girl thinks her dad's a piece of shit at some point. She might not rationalize it like that, but that's kind of, she sees him for all of his faults versus only his strengths, like when she was a little girl. And then she defies and rebels from dad in order to be her own woman in person and to fall into her own frame and to get out of parents' frame. That's part of growing up. And that's fine. If dad's actually not a piece of shit, she'll come back and she'll love dad again eventually. But, you know, it won't be the same because she'll be in her own frame. So ask yourself, do you want to repeat that dynamic by being her coach, mentor, or dad in your relationship, where you're leading, taking on her problems as your problems, making her goals your responsibility? And then when she doesn't achieve those, what happens? It's no longer daddy-daughter, okay? It's teenager, angry teenager dad thing, okay? And then she is rebelling from you because your advice and all the shit didn't work. Really, it's her failures, but, you know, it just didn't work. So she is going to rebel. She's going to go off and step out of your frame. And I will tell you, relationships generally do not survive that process. You'll never get back what you had, okay? If you put yourself in that dad role with her, and you're doing it yourself, dude. You're putting yourself in there by trying to take control of her behavior. And some of you people are going to be disgusted by the use of the term daddy and daughter in terms of in a consensual sexual adult relationship. Personally, I am too, to be honest with you. Okay, that's not the thing that I like, but I use the term because that is what the unconscious mind is going to frame it as. For her, no matter how you rationalize it as a male. Well, I'm just her coach. I'm mentoring her. I'm supposed to do that. I'm the strong alpha male. I'm going to mentor her. Okay, her unconscious mind puts it in the frame of daddy-daughter. Okay? And she will rebel from you when she fails. That's just what's going to happen, okay? And she will see you for all your faults instead of all your strengths, like she did in the beginning. And this could take 6 months, a year, 2 years, but it is inevitable to happen, all right? So you can't approach your relationships where you can't put yourself in any parental role. You certainly can't put yourself in a position where she's mommy. We should all know at this point that sucks. That's not a good idea. But you don't put yourself in a position where you're her daddy either. All right? And again, to repeat myself, that's a need to control another person. So you're doing that to try to control her because you're a scared little bitch and you don't want her to run off and do her own shit like every other woman you've been with. So if you could just mentor her and control her and, and coach her, then she will be the perfect person. She'll never stray off. And that's absolute bullshit. You're actually ensuring that she is going to break frame at some point. You're giving assurance that she is going to bust out of your frame when shit doesn't work out for her, when things don't feel good, when she fails at some of the things she's trying to do. You'll hear all kinds of things. You'll hear about how you're nothing's ever good enough for you. If you get that, okay, that is her fucking trying to break your frame because you've been in this dad role, all right, whether you called it that or not. But regardless of how you rationalize it, you put yourself in a role where her problems are your problems, her goals are your responsibility, and that includes her behaviors too. Like her shitty behaviors become your responsibility in the relationship. Her good behaviors are your responsibility in the relationship. Man, you gotta bag your fucking egos, okay? She is a human being that is sovereign and separate from you, all right? You may become one in a relationship, but she still has her own decision making, all right? The best thing you can do is stand your own mental point of origin. You set the standards by illustrating through your behavior mostly in some words of what you are willing to accept for a partner. And then you fucking drive on. She's either going to catch up to you and be with you and be a compliment, or she's just not going to be able to do it and she's not going to be capable of it. If she's not capable of it, then she's just not going to be with you. All right? That is how you handle it. Because if men waste their energy and instead of becoming the best version of themselves, they waste their energy and time trying to daddy some chick into being the perfect match. And it never works out. Okay, they always will break that frame. And guys who even will say it works out, they're lying to themselves because she probably broke that frame already, came back, and then the whole dynamic changed. But that dynamic rarely turns into the relationship that you want. Okay. So, there's a lot there. Long video. Hopefully I can have the bandwidth to get it on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Hit me with questions, comments. Subscribe to my channel. I was looking at some channel with some dude at a puppet, was doing weird voices and ordering things off of Amazon. And it was completely mindless and ridiculous. Like, it wasn't even humorous. It was more surprising that someone would make a video like that. And that dude had like a couple 100,000 subscribers. What the hell is wrong with you people? I'm giving you life-saving information here. Subscribe to my fucking channel, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Just go hit the fucking button and subscribe. And yes, I'm going to tell you to do it now. Why? Because I just watched this crazy-ass video with couple 100,000 subscribers, and it was the most mindless shit on earth. Anyway, this isn't mindless. This is stuff that's going to help you, stuff that's going to save your ass. And if you made it to the end of this video, that means you're interested in that. So it's not too much for me to ask for you to hit that subscribe button. What it does for me is it makes me searchable so we can get this info to other people out there that need it. All right. Thanks for helping me out. Tell your friends. Talk to you later.